welcome to Jeem Apologetics. This is, of course, your host, Jeem, and today we're going to tackle the controversial topic of Andrew Tate accepting Islam. For those of you unaware, Tate posted a video on Twitter a few days ago where he was doing his obligatory Muslim prayers inside a masjid of some form in the UAE with a friend of his. For those of you who don't know who Andrew Tate is, he used to be, I believe, an MMA fighter, kickboxer, and he became famous about a year and a half ago when he was on a podcast praising the power of Islam. Now, Andrew Tate was not talking about theology, history, or even geopolitics. He was talking merely about the power of Muslims socially to defend their faith, defend their values, and attack those who are a threat to those values. He made an example, or came up with an example, where somebody could have a blasphemous shirt of Christ, and most Christians in the West would be too lukewarm to do much about it, or the response itself would be very lukewarm if there were any response at all. Meanwhile, Muslims would eviscerate the man, even though he's only talking about Jesus and not Prophet Muhammad. For those of you unaware, Jesus is present in Islam as a prophet, as one of the greatest prophets, and his name is Isa. And Isa, al-Masih, is in Islam, but he's not treated to be the son of God, or equal with God, or prayed to. Anyway, moving on, Tate became very famous amongst Muslims for his praise of Islam. He claimed in that same podcast, which was turned into a 2-3 minute video, that he attended church, the Romanian Orthodox church, and he donated $20,000. He liked having friends in church. He said it was a good community and called himself, I guess, his own words, an Orthodox Christian. Now, the issue that I have with Andrew Tate is that if you understand what orthodoxy is, you wouldn't be making the conflated points that he has been making, not just in the past few days, but over the past year and a half or so. Andrew Tate has critiqued Christianity multiple times, again, over the lukewarmness, saying that in Islam this problem would never occur, that Christians don't defend their religion, that Islam, in his own words, is the last real religion. So he's saying, how can I follow a religion which claims to be the truth if they cannot even defend this truth? Which is a great point. And does he also have a point that people in the West, Christians in particular, will not defend their faith? Yes, he has a point. But this is just the West we're talking about, the United States and Western Europe, and I guess by extension also Australia and New Zealand. But the issue that I have with Andrew Tate is that, one, he's conflating all of Christianity, even if we were just one denomination called Christianity, he's conflating all of Christianity with what is occurring in the West. Now, of course, he had a point that in times of great struggle and secularism, which religion is going to rise up and fight against the problem? Why isn't Christianity showing any fangs, so to speak? But the second issue with him that I have is that he claimed to be part of the very sect that is the solution to all of these problems, Orthodoxy. Orthodoxy is a minority here in America. It's followed by myself and many other people who converted online, as well as cradle Orthodox or converts from other religions. And Orthodoxy prides itself on not being corrupted with any of these ideas. Once in a while, you'll find a lukewarm priest who doesn't really care for certain issues, but that is not the doctrine of Orthodoxy. No one could ever change the doctrines of Orthodoxy, because Orthodoxy is the unchanged church. Even Catholicism is doing better than Protestantism. And the reason Protestantism is out of control is because, in America at least, Protestantism is equivalent with non-denominational low church Protestantism. So anybody can be a pastor, anybody can teach anything, and most of the times they don't even need to be on topic at all. Some guy named Bishop Talbert Swan on Twitter, and the entirety of his Christian career is just talking about his skin color. It has absolutely nothing to do with the Bible. And there's many other people like that on the other side too. You have white nationalists who don't really care for what is found in the Bible or the context that is given in culturally, theologically, and instead use it for their own favor. And of course you can find nationalist Orthodox as well. But for the most part, Orthodoxy has not succumbed to the kind of DIY lukewarmness that Western Christianity has, not by any measure at all. And it's not just due to the fact that Orthodoxy is not present that much in the West, it's due to the fact that Orthodox nations did not contribute to the secular West. They did not contribute at all because there was never a separation of church and state in the way that it happened in the West. There was only communism, brutal communism, for almost a century, which now the Orthodox countries are recovering from. But communism was not a separation of church from state. It was the annihilation of religion, and thankfully Orthodoxy survived and has been redeemed afterward. The point I'm trying to make is that Andrew Tate claims he went to the Romanian Orthodox Church, so he's aware of Orthodoxy. Someone who's aware of Orthodoxy would not make such blanket terms that all Christians are bad because Americans and Western Europeans are lousy as religious people for the most part. He would also not make that claim if he knew anything about the world, where most of Latin America is not anything like as bad as the West is, and I'd be hard-pressed to find Christians in West, Central, Eastern, and Southern Africa who are following any of these lukewarm ideas. Not even to mention Arab Christians, Christians in Central Asia, in China, India, Southeast Asia, and pretty much any other place, including Eastern Europe, that is not the West. So that's one of my problems with Andrew Tate, is did he really understand the gift he was given with Orthodoxy? Did he really understand the beauty of Orthodoxy and how Orthodoxy does not even have 10% of the corruption that Protestantism and Catholicism are showing with their lukewarmness? Secondly, does Andrew Tate really understand what he's getting into with Islam? It's been posted by some friends of mine, including Kyle here on YouTube, that Andrew Tate is pictured with his pet dog. Is he going to then have that dog be in a doghouse so that it would not be present in the house that he's living in, which would invalidate his prayers and not allow angels to enter the home? Does he know about the ritualistic, legalistic, and even punitive nature of Islam? Is he aware of any of these things? Does he really care? Or does he only care about the idea of a religion? Does he only care about proving which religion is the most based and the most supreme? But supremacy is not everything. And the problem is that not everything is as it seems either, and the grass is not always greener. For example, if you look at Islam in the United States, it's nothing like Islam in Europe. For the most part, European Muslims, and here I'm referring to Muslims coming from North Africa, the Arab world, or the Middle East, etc., and South Asia, who have come to Europe recently, they mainly stick with their religion, and they're very strong about it. In the United States, it's really kind of a coin toss there. And in some areas, you'll find extremely liberal American Muslims. You can even find extreme liberal Muslims in Europe. They're just a smaller minority. But in America, you see that Islam is almost treated like a culture. So you see women who wear the full hijab, they have everything, not even a piece of hair showing, and yet they don't care about gay propaganda. They don't care about gay marriage. Like, it's a non-issue for them. Oh, if gay people want to get married, why do I care? But their hijab is perfect. It's all outward ritual without actually caring about the theology. And we can get into the whole outward versus inner circumcision difference between Christianity and Islam, for example. But even within the parameters of Islam, LGBT is a serious, serious problem. Look at the reaction of Dearborn Muslims, primarily Arabs, who had a massive issue with LGBT propaganda being shown in their children's books. So we know it's a massive problem in Islam. It's punished in most of Islam, and if it's not punished by the state, it's punished by the people. You would never go out of your way to be homosexual in the Muslim world. It just doesn't make sense. Even somewhere like Turkey, I would assume that you cannot walk around the street being openly gay. But the point is, in Islam, which is a legalistic, ritualistic, punitively legalistic in some ways, religion, which is based on governance and state, why are such core issues being ignored amongst American Islam? Now, again, there are great Muslims like the Dearborn Muslims who are actually adhering to their religion. But there are also many youths who, again, they put on the mask of being Muslim, they care about the culture, they want to be called Arab or Pakistani, and they care so much about their Islamic culture, but not the values. You know, they don't care if their classmate dresses like a whore. That doesn't bother them. Everyone in the world can dress like a whore, except for me, because I'm Muslim, you know? And everyone in the world can be gay except for me. You know, I don't understand this kind of attitude. If you're going to be dressing as a Muslim and doing all the prayers and adhering to the culture, why are you not defending your values? The point I'm making is, are all American Muslims like this? No, not at all. Probably most are not like that. But there's a sizable enough portion where Andrew Tate, if he was walking through America and went to a liberal Muslim area or a university and found liberal Muslims, what is he going to do? Leave Islam because there's some lukewarm Muslims who don't really care about LGBT? Are there some lukewarm Muslims who are not that religious? Are you going to leave the religion over that? I understand that the severity amongst Islam is not as severe in terms of sheer numbers in Western Christianity, but proportionally, Muslims voted more in favor for gay marriage than most Christians did in this country in the last few years. So, in fact, the grass is not greener if you're talking about America. Now, if Andrew Tate is going to go live in the Arabian Gulf, or live in Egypt, or live in Turkey, well then, okay, I can understand his justification a little. He doesn't want to live in the West anymore. It's too disgusting. Hey, many of us agree with him there. But I just don't understand how he could come to that conclusion and not just live in Romania, where he already has a house and donates money. Romanian Orthodoxy is pretty strong. Romanian people are not westernized in the manner that Western people are. And he can achieve everything in terms of the feeling of being in a religious nation with Orthodox Christianity. So my issue with him is, did he truly understand what he was in? Did he understand that the grass is not always greener in some areas? And does he fully understand the theological repercussions of entering Islam? You know, thankfully, Islam is a conservative religion, and they don't allow people to be promiscuous. So he cannot just go and hit on people at the bar and take them home and perform disgusting acts on them. That's not allowed in Islam anymore. Of course, it was never allowed in Orthodox Christianity, but he did it anyway. So now that the whole Muslim world is watching him, because things are different when you just say, I've always been an Orthodox Christian, and if you don't follow the laws, yeah, it's like people are angry, but so what? He's always been, probably was always lukewarm. But when you convert to a different religion for the sole purpose of this is going to be better and I need to follow it better, and then you don't, it's kind of strange. I mean, he has millions of Muslims, probably 100 million Muslims across the world, paying attention to him right now. Is he going to follow all the hygienic laws? Is he going to pray 5 times a day? Is he going to avoid promiscuity? Now, people mention polygamy, but you have to be married to those women. You can't just have 10,000 women in a house and say, yeah, I will marry them. No, you must be married to them before you do any of that. Is he going to be married to any woman from now in the future that he sleeps with? Yes or no? If he sleeps with women that he is not married to, then that's against Islam. And I know people will say, well, people do things in Orthodoxy that's against Orthodoxy. Yeah, but if you convert to Orthodoxy with the purpose of finding religion, you're going to obey it. That's why converts usually are better Christians than people who are born into it. Not always, but a lot of times they are. Same with Islam. You convert to Islam, aren't you going to take it seriously? With millions of people watching you, seeing this massive apostasy from Christianity? We'll have to see. But for the most part, the fact that Tate seems to conflate all of Christianity with the disgusting actions of the weakness of lukewarm, liberal Western Christians does not seem very intelligent, especially for someone who is aware of the difference between that and Orthodoxy. So we seem to be dealing with a Schrodinger's Tate here, because he is aware of Orthodoxy, but then not aware of it when he posts stuff like what he posted a couple days ago, that there was a drag queen or transgender pastor, and that's why he is Muslim now. He can't be Christian anymore. But doesn't he know that that's not the denomination that he was following in the first place? Interesting. Well, if you agree with me, let me know. And if you don't, I don't know. See you guys later.